This is a review of the basic steps to use a graphing calculator to find the line of best fit. The process your calculator is doing is something called linear regression, and it's a good tool to find a line that models a set of data even though the data don't fall perfectly along a straight line. So here's a set of XY data, and if you were to try and find the slope and y-intercept for this, you would find that the slope is not constant. The x values don't go up by a constant amount, the y values don't go up by a constant amount, and the slope between them isn't constant. So if we were to plot these points, we'd get a scatter plot. That would be the points would scatter around, not all falling on the same line. And so we want to find the line that does the best job of approximately going through this set of data. In other words, we want to find out what is the slope and the y-intercept of a line that does the best possible job of fitting this data. And our calculator can help us with that. The first thing that we need to do is to clear out any old data. There are a number of different ways to do this, but I'll show you one that I find is the easiest. This linear regression is a statistical tool, so we're going to work a lot in this menu that says Stat here. So I'm going to click on the Stat, and there are three options: Edit, Calculate, and Tests. When we're clearing or entering data, we're editing our list. And the first thing we want to do is to clear the list that we're going to use. So let's go down here to number 4. I can either use the down arrow keys to select 4, or I can simply enter the number 4 from the keypad. What it's doing now is it's asking me, what lists do you want to clear? The lists are stored in the numbers L1, L2. They're written in, on this one, it's in a slightly purplish color above the numbers down at the bottom here. So I want to access the blue L1, that's for list 1. So I'm going to hit the second key and then the number 1. That gives me L1. So now I'm clearing list 1. And so I use this comma to say there's another one. I want to clear list 2. And I'm going to clear list 3 just for good measure. I don't think that there's anything in the rest of the lists. If there were, I'd find out as we go along. So I enter the lists that I want to clear there, and then I just hit the Enter key. And it says Done. Okay, so now we've cleared out any old data in the calculator from previous problems. Next, we're going to go back to that Stat menu, so I'm going to click the Stat button. Now we want to edit those lists. We want to enter some new data in. So I'm going to select 1, the Edit option from there. You'll see that there's a cursor that lets me enter data in 3 columns, list 1, list 2, and list 3. I'm going to enter the X values in list 1, and I'm going to enter the Y values in list 2. So here in list 1, I'm going to do the first X value, which is 0.5, and then enter. And then next is 1.2, 3, 4.1, and 6. So now I have my data points entered here. I can use the right arrow key to move over to list 2, where I'll enter the Y values. Negative, make sure you use the negative key down here, not the subtraction key when you're entering negative numbers. So negative 2.5, enter 0, enter 3.2, enter 4.8, enter 8.8. It matters that the length of your 2 lists matches each other. If you have more Y values than you have X values, you're going to get an error message. So the second step in our process here was to enter new data. In list 1 and list 2. So now we have all of our data entered. Now we're ready to begin calculating. So we're going to go to the Stat menu again. And now instead of editing, we're going to choose Calc because we're going to do some calculations. There's a lot of different analyses that we could do of this data. The one that we want is the one that's option 4, linear regression. So I'm going to go down to option 4 and select linear regression. So this is the step where we calculate linear regression. And now what it's asking me is, okay, you want me to do a linear regression. what lists do you want me to use? Because remember, I could have a lot more lists. So I need to tell it that we want to do this using list 1 and list 2. So again, I'm going to select the second key and then go down to the one where I have list 1, comma, list 2. So now I've told it that I want to find the line of best fit for the data sets that are in list 1 and list 2. And I hit enter. And what it does is it gives me the slope and the y-intercept for the line of best fit. So it says y equals ax plus b, where a is 1.955210238. I generally use this to 2 decimal places here, so this would round to 1.96 as our slope. And our y-intercept is negative 2.93. So this line does the best possible job of going through that set of data. You may notice that on some of your other calculators, when you enter this information, it'll ask you a couple of questions before it'll give you the line of best fit. Go ahead and just keep hitting enter. If all else fails, if your calculator is being very strange and is not behaving the way you want, a measure of last resort is to completely reset the memory. If you have any applications or games or anything stored in your calculator, this will get rid of it. But if you're using particularly one of the school calculators, this is a perfectly fine thing to do. So what we want to do is we're going to want to access the memory. It's written in blue above the plus key. So we'll access second and then memory. And what we want to do is we want to reset the memory. That's option 7 on our list. And it's asking us, do we want to reset all RAM or the defaults? We want to reset everything. And reset RAM, really, do you want to reset all of this? Yes, we do. Reset. And now everything on the calculator should be cleared. This is, again, if your calculator's behaving strangely, this is a good thing to try.